University of Waterloo and became a registered kinesiologist in 2015. He works both as a kinesiologist for Leading Edge Physiotherapy Center and as a rehabilitation therapist for Rehab First Inc.
All right, thank you, Amber. So Reid, if you want to tell us a little bit about your career journey, the floor is yours.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm assuming everybody can hear me. Yes? Fantastic. Okay, so as my intro said, I did go to the University of Waterloo for kinesiology. And for anybody who's interested in becoming a kinesiologist, the path would start there, of course, going to school for that, or any Bachelor of Science really would do, after which it is a regulated health profession, so you do need to be licensed and registered in order to work in that field. So there is the licensing exam that you have to take in order to get it, which is held by a governing body or college called the College of Kinesiologists of Ontario. All of which can be found on the internet, of course. And then once you have your license, you need to renew it every year, and there are a certain number of stipulations that you have to do, like continued education and that sort of thing. So that's the starting point as far as a career goes in that field. My time, like my intro said, is split between two different things that I do. The first of which is working in a physiotherapy clinic. So in the clinic, I work alongside with physiotherapists, and we have a registered massage therapist as well. And what my specialty is in the clinical setting is I specialize in what we call functional rehabilitation. So that's getting people who are injured back up and moving, and the goal is to get them better than they were before. So you can think of it sort of like a specialized personal trainer in a lot of ways, except what we do is we take all the information from the physio or from a doctor, and then we figure out what their limitations are, what their injury is, and then specify or specialize a program for them based on how they're going to get better. The other half of my time is spent with a company called Rehab First. So we specialize in rehab for car accident victims specifically. So this can range anywhere from people who have had paralysis or had amputations of things if the crash was bad enough. We deal with a lot of concussion stuff. So the variation of people that we see through that job is a lot. We see a lot of varying symptoms and a lot of different things. That one I actually do a lot of traveling for, so it doesn't always have to be in a clinical setting. This one I actually go to people's homes and do a lot of in-home stuff, some stuff in the hospital, some stuff I meet up with people in their gyms. It depends on how far along they are in the process. So that one I work pretty much alone. I don't have a lot of teammates that go with me with that one. So yeah. Those are the two different things that I do. So I don't know, do we do a Q&A after? Oh, okay, so I won't open it up to questions now. So you guys can ask me questions a little bit later if you want. But as far as being a kinesiologist, if that's something that you're looking into, there are more job opportunities more than just working in a clinical setting or in a rehab capacity that I do. You can work in ergonomics, you can work alongside a lot of different companies have in-house people that work as consultants just for, let's say, office ergonomics, for example. Like a lot of people who work in desk jobs end up getting a lot of injuries just from sitting at a desk all day. So some people hire consultants that have to do with stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. Of course, there's the world of athletics. You can work with sports teams and that sort of thing in a training capacity. So if anybody's having any questions that they want to think of for later, then those are some things you can think about. And I guess that's it for me for now.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Reid. Really succinct and thorough at the same time. So really appreciate that. And like Reid said, any questions that you might have, just save that for the Q&A. And even when we're thinking of types of questions, it doesn't always have to just be about the role. It could be about how did they handle their workloads while they were in post-secondary? Were there any clubs or volunteer teams that they were part of? Like, those are some questions that we might want to think about asking our panelists. Also in the group chat there, I forgot to say what order all of the panelists will be going. I'm sure you were all wondering. So we've got Lindsay coming up next, Saloni, Jackie, Garrett, and we'll end off today's session with Sameera for the panel part. So I think the next person to read is Melissa, if Melissa is able to join the meeting. Are you in here now, Melissa? Because I know she was having some trouble accessing, because I see her here, but I don't know if she's able to join. Melissa? Okay, I did just send her another email with the meeting ID, so I don't want to take this leadership opportunity from her. So how about we put Lindsay and Melissa on pause? We'll go with Farah introducing Saloni, and we'll just kind of keep trucking along, okay? Farah, if you're able to.
Saloni is a mental health therapist and works at the Nelson Youth Centers. She supports children and teens across Halton region by teaching them healthy and helpful ways to cope with their mental health, and by being a safe person to talk to about whatever may be good going on in their lives.
Great, thanks, Farah.
Thanks, Farah, and thank you everybody for having me here today. It's really exciting to be a part of this initiative. I think it's wonderful that we're all pulling together our resources and supporting youth however we can right now. And for youth, it's great that you're here. It's also giving us somebody to talk to right now. So it's wonderful. So yeah, I am a mental health therapist. I am a registered psychotherapist. So much like Reid, my role is also one that belongs to a regulated body. So that's the College of Registered Psychotherapists in Ontario. As a mental health therapist, I'm specializing in working with children and youth. And again, like my bio said, that's all across the Halton region. So I do a fair bit of travel as well, so that I'm meeting my youth wherever they might be and wherever they might want to chat. So how I came about becoming a therapist here at Nelson, I completed my undergrad in psychology through the University of Humber. And after that, I knew that I kind of wanted to go into a counseling role where I would be able to provide therapy and talk to others. And I knew that I also wanted to focus more so on working with children and youth. So right after my undergrad, I knew that I would need a lot of volunteer work and a lot of, I guess, training and experience before I could maybe apply for a master's and work on those skills that are required to becoming a psychotherapist. So right away, I started looking for opportunities where I could either volunteer or grow my own learning. I started volunteering at a distress center. So I was at a helpline for that, learning how to talk to people and how to help out depending on where they might be in life or what might be going on for them in a moment. I also completed some other trainings, like, how we all sort of do CPR and first aid. I also decided to do mental health first aid and do the assist training. And I thought that was really, really helpful to prepare me even for being on a helpline. I started also volunteering with different organizations that support different children with special needs or mental health concerns in different settings, whether it's in community-based settings or just in different schools, just as a teaching assistant or something like that. Eventually, I started working with the Learning Disabilities Association of Peel Region, because that's where I'm at. And there I got to start running group programs for kids and teens, all focused on building social skills and mental health coping skills, all of that kind of stuff. And that sort of prepared me to finally be able to apply for my master's, which I did in counseling psychology. And after that, and a really thorough internship, I was able to go through the licensing requirements to become a psychotherapist, which also, like Reid, involved a licensing exam, which is not fun, but made it through. And now I've been working at Nelson for about 2 years now, and I absolutely love it.
Awesome. Thanks, Saloni. You guys are good at this snapshot of your career paths. So thank you very much. So just a reminder that Reid, Saloni, and up next, and Lindsay, they're going to be part of the health panel. Melissa, I see you edited your name, or would we hear you if you unmuted?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. Okay, sweet. So up next, we've got Melissa introducing Lindsay.
Okay, so Lindsay Sinclair is a community mental health therapist. She works with individuals who live in the community and experience difficulty functioning due to mental illness. Well, she works with clients to set goals, work on their coping skills, and improve their overall quality of life.
Can everybody hear me? Thank you for that introduction, Melissa. Yeah, so as Melissa said, I'm a community mental health therapist, and my journey actually started in high school. I knew that I loved science and math, so I did all of the science and maths, and I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew that I wanted to keep doing those things. So I did my undergraduate degree in science, and I went to Queen's, and at first I just knew I liked science, and I just wanted to keep doing it. So I did a general first year where you take all the kind of chemistry and physics and biology and all that kind of stuff. And I learned that I really liked biology and psychology. So what I did is I went through the course curriculum for the rest of the years, and I just circled all the courses that I liked the best. And I figured out what kind of degree I needed to do, which was going to be life science and psychology. So I did a major in life science and a minor in psychology, and it was a great way to study about the brain and study about the mind, but also study about the human body. And then when I approached third year, I knew that I had to start thinking about what my career options would be. And so a lot of my friends and everybody in my program were thinking about different health careers. And I also knew that I wanted to do a different health career as well. And I figured out that I couldn't pick between psychology or life science. I really liked both of them. I liked the human body, but I also liked the human brain and the study of behavior. And so I wanted to find something that would allow me to do both. So I ended up looking into different kind of ways to be in healthcare, and I came across a job title called occupational therapy. So in the umbrella of rehabilitation, there's kinesiologists, there's physiotherapists, there's speech language pathologists, and there's occupational therapists. And I thought that that job title really suited me the most. So that's what I did. And so during school, I did as much as I could to volunteer in different organizations. So I volunteered with an organization that did exercises with individuals with disabilities, and I volunteered on the mental health unit at the local hospital, and I volunteered doing kind of community organization work. And so all of those opportunities allowed me to see where I'd be a good fit, where my personality suited best, and where my interests were. So I would definitely recommend getting involved as much as you can to benefit the community, but it also benefits you because it teaches you a lot about yourself. And then when I decided that OT, occupational therapy, might be a good career path, I just went and I emailed every OT I could find in Kingston at the time. And I asked them if I could just shadow them for a day. And a lot of them got back to me and said that I could. So that was a surprise, and it allowed me to kind of see what a day in the life would be like and ask them some real questions about what it would be like to be in that role. So that is something that is possible too, to just reach out, and a lot of people are more willing than you think to let you follow them around for a day. So that was great. So I did my master's in occupational therapy, and same with the other two regulated health professions on the panel. I had to write a licensing exam, and I passed that. So I'm now a regulated healthcare professional, and I'm an OT. And then after that, I started my career. I'm now working at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, which is the largest mental health organization in Canada. They hire lots of OTs, and there's lots of different departments. I work in the community. So my job is seeing people who live in the community and helping them kind of build life skills and set goals and improve their lives as much as possible. So that might be things like getting them started on a job. It might be things like getting them started in school, building up their coping skills. Anything that's a barrier is something that we look at, and we want to remove that barrier. Basically, we just want to make things as accessible as possible and make people's lives as good as they can be. So that's great. And the great thing about OT, occupational therapy as a job, is there's lots of different areas. So I work in mental health, but there's lots of people who do physical health and they do physical rehab in hospitals, or there's people who work with children in schools working on school skills. So there's lots of different areas to work. And I love mental health and I love working in the community. So it's a great career path.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay, for sharing your path and for also highlighting the importance of community involvement. We've got such a lovely group of volunteers who are chiming in today and tuning in. And I think it always helps to kind of hear that message echoed, not just from like youth group leaders like me, but from people from other professions. So thank you for highlighting that as well. Up next, let me see on the list, we've got, okay, so Amber is going to introduce Jackie.
All right, so Jackie Ropotyn, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, is a legal assistant specializing in insurance defense at Dutton Brock LLP in downtown Toronto. She began this career path approximately 7 years ago after obtaining her paralegal diploma and licensing from Sheridan College.
All right, Jackie, so just unmute yourself and we'll be ready to hear your panel.
Sorry guys, I'm not very good at Zoom. Okay, so my name's Jackie and I'm a paralegal. So I'm gonna let you guys know sort of how I got into this field. When I was growing up, I was never very good at anything with numbers or science. I was definitely more of a word girl. So I definitely knew I was going to go into some sort of path like this. I was always super interested in law. I always wanted to be a secret agent when I was young, and then sort of had an idea of being a police officer potentially. So when I started university, I went into criminal justice. So I was studying criminal justice and other social sciences at the University of Guelph. So near the end of that degree, I wanted to sort of go into another program immediately after university that was going to give me some good job prospects. So I did decide to take the paralegal diploma immediately after university. I was really interested in taking that because it's a 2-year program, so it's not very long, but it also does include a internship that you have to complete. So you do have to work in a law firm successfully before you can graduate. So that's like appealed to me a lot, getting hands-on experience. So I did do the paralegal diploma at Sheridan, and then I started working at a law firm near the end. So you have to do about 40 hours in a law firm. So that went very well, and I graduated. And then after graduation, like the other panelists said, I did have to do a licensing exam. To be a paralegal, you have to be licensed by the Law Society of Upper Canada. So, you know, you have to study lots and do a licensing exam, unfortunately. So yeah, after I completed my licensing exam, the law firm that I was doing my internship at thankfully hired me on. So basically what I had hoped would happen did, and it got me working in the field immediately after school, which is really great. So I worked at that firm for about a year. That firm was specializing in personal injury, so I was helping to assist people that had been injured in car accidents, claim benefits through their insurance company. I did start working at another firm shortly after that. That was the same thing. And then about 5 years ago, I started working for, I started specializing in insurance defense, which is helping the insurance companies. So I'm now working for the insurance companies and not for the injured people themselves. But you know, either way is great. Let's see. So yeah, working in this field, it's really great. It's really rewarding, but it is like a very high work type of job. So you have to really have a lot of attention to detail, things like that. It can be like very, very busy. Yeah, so as a paralegal, you can work representing clients on their own. In my job right now, I'm not doing that. I work under the supervision of a lawyer. So it's kind of good that way, because as a paralegal, you can work on your own. You can represent clients in court, or you can work at larger scale firms working under the supervision of a lawyer. So the good thing is there's a lot of job prospects for that. Sorry, I made some notes, guys. I don't know what to talk about. But yeah, no, I guess that's it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jackie. And I can hear your little puppy in the background. That's Ty. Some of the joys of working from home. Also, I just wanted to say I appreciate you highlighting how taking every co-op and like mandatory hours that are part of your schooling, if you take that seriously right from day one, from hour one, with just a good learner's mindset, it can really set you up for success. And honestly, this is a story that I've heard repeated by many professionals, regardless of field, is that if you show up with interest and an open mind and a strong work ethic, you can set yourself up pretty nicely for a career right after you do your schooling. So thank you for highlighting that in your blurb. Awesome. Okay, up next, we've got Emily, who will be introducing Garrett.
Okay, so up next we have Garrett MacLean. He is a structural engineer working in renovation and heritage building restoration in Toronto, Ontario.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. Yeah, as introduced, I'm a structural engineer working for a firm in downtown Toronto. My path to get here wasn't overly complicated, but that's not to say, you know, it wasn't straightforward. But a career in engineering is very attainable for those who enjoy math and science. It's a fair amount of work and dedication to studying and attending class, as you know, high school and university goes. So I grew up in Ajax, just on the other side of Toronto. I was strongly into music, math and physics and all the other sciences. I learned about engineering from, I think, my grade 11 physics teacher, who mentioned that there's a field of study that incorporates building stuff with math. And as a kid, I loved building Lego and taking apart things like clock mechanisms and trying to put them back together and stuff, which usually didn't work out. But in grade 12, like in my later years of high school, I dedicated my electives to chemistry, physics, and calculus, things like that. So then after high school, I applied to the University of Waterloo, which is where I got my bachelor degree in applied science in civil engineering. So here's where I learned the principles of engineering. If for those who don't know, the field of civil engineering is the discipline of common infrastructure that you see all around you. It's the buildings and it's the roadways that we all use every day. The civil engineering program at Waterloo is broken into 4 different choices that you can branch into. So I'll quickly go over them if you guys aren't aware. But you could go into transportation, which is the construction of roadways, you know, tarmac for airport runways. And it's the study of traffic flow, signal sequence, and the methods of moving people, like in transit or any other type of method of transit. Geotechnical is the other branch, which is the study of soil and the strength of the ground that we build on, because the building is only as strong as the foundation that you put it on. The third branch of civil engineering is water resources. which is the study of the distribution of water through either pipelines or open channels. So this one's kind of an unsung hero of the three, in my opinion, because if you think about if there's a big rainfall, everything that we've done, we've paved roads, so we have to collect all the water that would normally absorb into the ground. We have to collect that water and put it somewhere else safely, so it doesn't flood our streets and things like that. And then the last branch is structural engineering. This is the one that I went into, which is the study of stability and statics. So statics is the behavior of a material to not move. So you essentially, you don't want buildings to move. You don't want roads to shift or anything like that. You don't want any settlement. So essentially it's making equal and opposite forces. So you want all of your, if you remember in physics, the free body diagram, you want everything to equal zero, essentially, everything to add up to zero. So at Waterloo, I was in a co-op program as well. Which means I was employed at a company every 4 months. So I did 4 months of school and 4 months at a company. And this was a great opportunity to really understand what type of civil engineering you wanted to go into, what of the 4 branches you wanted. It was an opportunity to work, in the real world and just be a part of society. So this is my opportunity where I got into construction and really fell in love with working outside, working kind of with my hands and seeing how things got built on a large scale. After school, so my schooling stopped here. I just acquired a bachelor degree. I chose not to get a master's degree because I could pursue my professional designation just with a bachelor's. I didn't need a master's, but that's always an option later on. My first job out of school, I worked at a construction firm where we got to see large scale buildings like skyscrapers and airports be built, which was really interesting. And it's always useful for an engineer to see the constructability of certain structures before working kind of on paper and with your math. And then after that, I worked for AECOM, which is an engineering consulting firm. And here's where I pursued my professional engineering license. So in order to acquire your engineering license, you need to work for 48 months, which is 4 years, in the industry, just to get the experience behind you before the governing body, which is the PEO, the Professional Engineers of Ontario, allow you to do your own engineering. So at AECOM, this is where I really started to understand the science of taking kind of the natural forces of that imposed on a building, like wind, snow, seismic and earthquake loads, and occupancy loads. So how a room is being used, like it's either a gymnasium or an ice rink or any type of different building, and then trying to size the structural members to resist all of these loads. So currently I work at a building restoration engineering firm, which is working with existing buildings. So buildings that are being repurposed into new types or keeping the heritage facade of a building. So yeah, that's about it. That's where I am now. Okay, I'll let the next person speak.
Very thorough, and thank you for really being able to take quite a complicated concept and kind of translate that down into the different areas of civil engineering and what that kind of means in kind of really basic, easy to understand terms. I know that youth in this room, as well as lots of youth outside of this meeting, have expressed interest in engineering. So I think they will tune into this recording to hear from that. And it does seem like there's a lot of licensing involved in many different types of careers. I'm not licensed in anything, but I did get a Bachelor of Public Relations, which was the first of its kind in Ontario the year that I graduated in 2013. So fast fact about the old Lil Meister here. So last on our panel, we've got Farah, who will be introducing Councilor Sameera Ali.
Sameera is the local councillor for Ward 4, which is the southwest area of Milton and also the fastest growing ward in the fastest growing town in Ontario. Being a global citizen with international life experiences, Sameera is the perfect representation of Milton's most diverse ward. Issues related to youth, poverty reduction, and seniors continue to be her focus, and as such, she sits on the Milton Youth Task Force, is the PR officer for the Milton Legion, and the community director for Milton Halal Food Bank.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And thank you to Lily for getting us all together in this panel and providing this opportunity to all of us to, connect with the youth in a really positive manner. And despite all the restrictions we're facing in light of the pandemic, we're able to do this for our youth. I'm really, really happy to be part of this, and really happy to be part of such a distinguished group of panelists as well. So thank you to everybody. I'm going to start off like everybody else with a little background on my education. I do have a master's degree in international relations and with minors in political science and mass communication. So as you can see, my education has always been geared towards communications, public relations, and of course, politics. So having said that, this is not a requirement for someone who wants to be a counselor. We have had counselors who owned stores. We had a very famous counselor in Milton whose name was Mike Boughton. He was a barber, and he was an excellent counselor. So having said that, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to have a set degree to be in politics. What you do need to have is a passion to serve your community. And that is one thing that you must have if you want to be a politician, if you want to get elected for any public service role. As you heard a little bit in my intro, my interests have always been poverty reduction, food insecurity, and for that reason, I continue to explore avenues where I can use whatever little light I have to shine on issues that remain prevalent in our communities. And when it comes to Halton particularly, our poverty is not visible. We all have big homes, we all have 2 to 3 cars, everybody's wearing designer clothing, but our poverty is cash poverty. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck, and you cannot see the poverty. The poverty is of time, the poverty is of cash. And so with my work as a community director for a local food bank, I have seen the back end of poverty in our community. And so I'm just going to use this opportunity to really plug in for the food bank. And if in any way, any of you can help your local food banks, please do it. We really, really need it. And with the pandemic, the need has increased triple-fold, believe it or not. So like I said, these are the interests I had. And like I said before, you should be passionate to serve your community, because politics is not a very high paying field. And I did discuss with Lily, and I encourage all the other panelists to include a pay scale in their little Q&A as well, because I think it really interests youth to find out how much you can get paid, or what could your paycheck look like. And for me, for example, as a local counselor, I make $39,000 a month, a year. Sorry, doing that a year. And as you can see, by any standards, this is on the lower scale of any pay scales. But if you're in it for the right reasons, you have a passion for serving your community, you will love what you do. And I love what I do. A lot of my colleagues love what we do, because we get to connect with people, and that continues to be a key criteria. You gotta be a people's person, you gotta be a networking person, you gotta be able to build relationships and achieve results through that, and enjoy meeting people. And if you don't enjoy meeting people, but you still love a public service, in the end, you will start loving talking to people, and you'll enjoy meeting people. So that is one thing you also need to have to become a politician. Other than that, I did notice a common theme with everybody who spoke today is that volunteering really, really matters. So be a volunteer, become a community volunteer, be involved in your local community, try to figure out what the issues are, try to be an activist. talk to people, see what moves them, what shakes them, and, you know, try to achieve something. Reach out to your local politicians, understand the process, how it works. For myself, I started volunteering in politics, let's say 7 years ago. Exactly 7 years ago, I started volunteering in politics. So I used to volunteer with campaigns, political campaigns for any party, just to understand the system, and started knocking doors for candidates, educating myself on party policies, and you build your way up. So from being a door knocker for candidates, I built my way up to becoming a campaign manager 5 years ago, and then I decided to jump in and put my name forward as well. So unless and until you understand how all of this works, how campaigning works, you won't be able to lead a successful campaign. So campaigning is the key to getting elected, as we all know. Other than that, I'm just going to look at my notes. What else can you do? You can, like I said, be involved and watch the news. You know, the news is not just for grown-ups. It's actually basically for you, because you're the ones who are, the youth are the ones who are going to change this world, and the ones who are going to make a difference, who truly this world belongs to. So you must watch the news, because everything that happens in the news affects you directly, and be part of your community. Like I said, I have 1 minute left, I see. What does a counselor do? I want to put it in a nutshell for you. A local counselor is responsible for all the issues that affect you from your daily life, like your traffic, your water, and your parks management, and all of those things. If you have a problem with that, with your neighbor and not cutting his grass, with your neighbors doing fireworks on the street, you reach out to me and I take care of that for you through my staff, who are excellent, by the way, in Milton. So that was me trying to really wrap it up really fast. I'm open to all kinds of questions. I've been part of many panels before, and I get the most exciting questions. Top one continues to be, what is my age? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilor Sameera. I just want to really thank everybody for tuning in today, for my personal and professional connections, for coming to be the panelists, and of course for all my youth who just keep showing up and they keep participating and leading. This is awesome and a really great way to start the week. So I'm just gonna do a quick show of hands. Use the emoji or the group chat so that I can help divide us up into two groups, just so that you can have a little bit more of like a one-on-one time. So we're going to have breakout room 1 be the health field. So that's Reid, kinesiologist, Lindsay and Saloni, who are both mental health therapists, one for the community, one for youth. So who would like to do breakout room 1? You can throw your name into the group chat or raise your hand. So that'll be the healthcare people. And I'm just making notes right now. So okay, perfect. And then breakout room 2. Which Josh is gonna head over there. Oh, and Melissa, I see you there. Perfect. Josh is gonna take breakout room 2, which is our business, law, and politics folks. So that will be Councilor Sameera from the town of Milton, Jackie, paralegal, and Garrett, structural engineering. So that'll be breakout room 2. So if you want to also let me know what ones you'd like. Okay, so Casey. All right, well, I guess it would just be everybody else who's left over. Rayon, did you say one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Elijah, Tanvi, Rayon, Amon. I haven't seen a vote, so I can either put you random or you can let me know right now. So Amon, I'm gonna put you in breakout room 2. There we go.
May I take business and politics breakout room?
All right, thank you. Thanks, Tanvi, and thanks, Rayon. Okay, I think that's everybody. And I'm also going to get the meeting room code to Nabia because I think her thing is, this meeting has been weird for some folks. They've needed the meeting ID, so I don't know what that is all about. So hopefully Nabia can join us in a minute because I know she was stoked. She was actually one of the people that like gave me this idea to host the career panel, so I like really want her to be able to participate. And so what I'm going to do now that I have all of the youth names is I'm going to develop the breakout rooms. What you'll see then on your screen is a prompt that says join for the breakout room that you are assigned to. So just give me a quick moment while I get that on the go. Youth, start thinking of those questions. Josh and I will be tracking who asks questions. You get 75 points for every meaningful question that you do. I mean, all questions have meaning, so like, but Josh, just make sure you rotate. You don't pick the same person a few times in a row, so everyone gets a chance.
That sounds good to me.
Thanks, bud.
Look forward to everybody's insights.
Okay, so we got Alicia. Sorry, I should mute myself so you don't have to hear me whisper. So I'm about to give everyone the breakout rooms. I have to be the last person in the main room, so I will be joining the health folks once everybody else goes where they're supposed to. Okay, also, by the way, once you're done in your breakout room, we're leaving just from there. So thank you so much for everybody participating, for panelists giving us your time. If you are going into like a different breakout room, but you had a question that you wanted to ask some of the other panelists, we're going to keep the doors of communication open and you can just send me those questions and I'll make sure that I can direct them where they need to go. Okay, so thanks again for all of that. And so look for that prompt. We're heading to the breakout rooms because we've got just over 10 minutes to get this done. Okay, bye. Nabia, can you hear me? Perfect.
That
Oh, I'm the only one here. I am so lonely.